With CEO mindset number 1, you learned how to do no work, freeing yourself to focus on growth. CEO mindset number 2, clarify what your 3 core responsibilities really are. And then with CEO mindset number 3, we taught you the difference between profit mindset and growth mindset. You master those 3 and you'll be a great CEO. But if you can master the 4th CEO mindset, then you'll know exactly where you're going, so will your team, your customers, and the world.
Now, let's move to part 2, section 3, which is about the 2 simple documents to run your company. And I say that from the CEO vantage point only. You're going to use all kinds of tools, but these are the 2 documents that are the most critical to my success as a CEO. But what are about the 2 documents that I think are super important for the CEO? Well, the 2 documents are 1, your strategy deck, and 2, your financial model. Now, you're looking at me thinking, RJ, of course we've got a strategy deck. And half the time when I say, let's see it, it's an old deck and it really doesn't have current strategy in it. In fact, it really doesn't have much of anything useful in it. I'm particularly shocked with small to medium-sized companies that I meet because almost none of them have a true financial model and a forecast for the future. I say, can I see your financial model? And they say, yes, we've got historical books and stuff like that, but they don't have a forward-looking financial model. And as a CEO, you're not looking backwards. CEO's job is to look forward. So let's talk about these 2 documents and what they can do for you. Of course, focusing on only 2 documents is metaphorical. You're going to have all the tools and applications and things, as I mentioned before. But these are going to be the 2 that are super important for your success. They've had the biggest impact on my career, and they're going to have a huge impact on your company's future growth and profitability. While I've already stressed the importance of these 2 documents, I honestly can't stress enough how important they are. I'll throw this other reason out why the strategy deck and financial model are so important. They're going to have a massive impact on your company's final outcome. Most of us are not going to be talking about IPOs. We're really going to be talking about being acquired. It's going to be super important to the financial outcome. I'm going to explain how in just a minute. Before we get into that, alert, I have a bonus mindset for you. Remember I told you there was going to be a hidden 4th CEO mindset. Well, this is the time and place. The 4th, number 4 CEO mindset is the importance of storytelling. But wait, I'm just an entrepreneur. No, you're a storyteller. You're a writer and a movie director and a songwriter and a singer. You have to tell stories. Why is it important? Well, let's just hear some of the great entrepreneurs and what they think about storytelling. Steve Jobs said, the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, the values, the agenda for an entire generation. Boy, if anybody kind of lived up to their own statement, it was Steve Jobs, who changed an entire generation of the way we interact with everything via our phones. Sir Richard Branson said, storytelling is the most underrated skill in business. And last but not least, Jeff Bezos said, if you can't tell a good story, you're never going to make it as an entrepreneur. So don't take my word for it. There's a lot better entrepreneurs and smarter people than me that talk about the importance of storytelling. And so CEO mindset number 4 is you need to become a good storyteller. So why does storytelling matter in business? First and foremost, it engages and inspires your stakeholders. It simplifies complex concepts. It builds emotional connections. It differentiates your brand. It inspires action and buy-in both inside and outside your company. It enhances your marketing and sales. It communicates your why, drives team alignment. It strengthens resilience, and it creates a lasting legacy. Storytelling matters a lot. When somebody decides to acquire or invest in your company, they're literally buying the story of your company. That's it. Of course, mathematically, they're buying revenue and EBITDA or a strategic asset, but they won't buy revenue and EBITDA without a story. Probably they won't even know what the revenue and EBITDA is unless they're interested in the story first. So you've got to be able to tell a story. So the bonus mindset review is the elite CEO is also an elite storyteller. And guess what? What tells your story? Your strategy deck and your financial model. The strategy deck and your financial model are your company's story, and they're also your roadmap for future growth profitability, and accountability. You're going to use your strategy deck and your financial model to align your team towards a common objective. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of reasons why these two docs are important, but they're literally going to be your guide for how to grow your company. Further, you're going to be able to hold yourself and your team accountable because, again, those plans are documented. The story is documented both verbally and numerically. Look, if you can't tell yourself the story, it's going to be hard for you to tell other people your story. So you have to get your story straight for yourself. You also have to get it straight for your team. Remember back to CEO mindset number 2. You've got to hire, recruit, and retain and lead the team. Then get them to buy into your vision and execute that vision. Heck, your team needs to be able to tell the world your vision, and that's your story right there. And of course, your clients and partners need to be able to buy your story, and investors and acquirers must buy into your story as well. Hope you caught the last word too, acquirers, because virtually everybody taking this course or class or implementing the playbook eventually wants to sell their company at some point. Let's talk about acquirers and let's have a word about exit planning. Oh, I think we have another secret bonus in here and some pro tips about exit planning. If you ever want to sell your company, it's better to prepare now. And so I don't care whether you want to sell your company 6 months from now or 6 years from now or 60 years from now, you're going to want to start your exit planning now. And part of that is having these two documents. And it's better to prepare now, not when somebody knocks on the door and you're totally unprepared. If you start preparing now, which is what these two documents prepare you for, then you're going to be ready anytime anybody knocks on the door or whatever happens. You're ready for whatever. Even if it's 3 months from now, you're ready. So let's talk about the process of selling your company and what it looks like. Here's how it usually goes down. There's a knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. The acquirer has knocked on your door. You open the door. You've exchanged pleasantries. They've expressed an interest in potential acquisition. And what's the first thing they're going to ask you? Do you have a company overview or do you have a financial model? Sound familiar? As I said, the time to plan is now, hence the strategy deck and the financial model, which in turn become your company overview and the confidential information memorandum, or the SIM in M&A lingo, and the financials that set the valuation to acquire your company. Let's unpack the second one a little bit. What do I mean by the financial model setting the valuation in the negotiation? Well, this is really common in family-run and small to medium-sized businesses. They don't have a forward financial model. So guess what happens when the acquirer comes in and you hand over your historical financials? That sets the valuation, your trailing 12 months, not your forward 12 months. Would you rather be judged on last year's numbers or the next 12 months numbers after you've grown a bit? So if you've got a financial model that outlines 24 months of growth and increased margins and better metrics across the board, plus you've been able to prove that growth historically, and oh, by the way, you've been doing financial forecasting for the last 3 years, and oh, here's our budget versus actuals, and we've always hit our numbers or been very close within a very tight variance. All of a sudden now, when you put a 2-year financial forecast in front of your potential acquirer, they've got to believe you because you have a track record of being able to forecast and hit your budget. In any case, if they come in and you allow them to build your forward financial model for you, which all acquirers will, by the way, they're going to set a lower, more conservative target because they want to pay less for your business. Pretty simple. So again, with your own financial model, you're setting the starting line for the negotiation. Here's how it works. There's a big negotiation when people are creating valuation, and the negotiation is going to be over whose numbers can be supported, the acquirers or you, the seller. If you have a good financial model and a good story, you're going to be the one that sets the baseline numbers that drive the valuation. Now, again, that's not to say that they're not going to go and try and chisel you down and reduce your numbers, but the starting point is your financial model, not theirs. That is why it's important to have a great financial model and start running your company off them as soon as possible. The strategy deck and the financial model do in fact have a massive impact on the final outcome of your business, which is the exit. But before we try and sell the company, let's grow it. And again, the strategy deck and the financial model are going to be the things that help us grow because we planned it. And to plan it, you need to be able to tell your own story. If you don't have a strategy deck and a financial model, you're literally driving the car blind. I know everybody's got spidey sense. Oh, I've been running this business for 5 years and I know what I'm doing, but you literally don't have a roadmap for where you're going. You can't lead your company unless you know exactly where you're going. You can't tell your team where you're going unless they all know where you're going. And you can't hold yourself accountable unless you've got a plan as well. And you can't hold your team accountable unless you have a plan. Again, if you like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And to learn more about the 30-Day Mastermind, again, the link below, or go to www.30dayceo.com. We're here to help. Thank you for watching and good luck.